Welcome back everyone to GGN. This is part 2 for this news report for today for Wednesday, September 18th, 2013. Alright, I'm ready to go. Household income, poverty holds steady, and number of uninsured declines. So this is your basic propaganda piece from McClatchy and the mainstream media telling you that everything is going to be okay. The nation's elevated poverty rate and stagnant median household income show no meaningful changes in 2012. So here you go, median income static before the recession, after the quote recession. I call it the wealth consolidation operation of 2008. And so it's been down here. So they drop it down there, that's the new norm, and then it'll go down, another crash, and then that'll be the new norm. So that's how they do gas prices as well, right? But the poverty rate remains high at 15%. Next up, median household income has fallen for 5 years in a row. If the economy keeps getting better, then why do incomes keep falling? And according to a shocking new report that was just released by the U.S. Census Bureau, it says that household income adjusted for inflation has declined for 5 years in a row. It says this is even though the federal government has been borrowing and spending money at an unprecedented rate. And yeah, the problem is that you have these kind of libertarian or conservative or just alternative media sites that use these words like they perpetuate civil war in Syria, the reckless money printing spree. This is their job. Their job is to rob from people, to have them buy worthless things so that they can print money, create debt. Americans are working harder than ever, but the paychecks are not reflecting that. So, and that's part of the wealth consolidation operation. They're still stealing from you like they were before. They're just stealing more. So, and as far as prices go, prices being high, they're only going to get higher. And someone made a good point about organic and how you can find organic at like Walmart for a decent price. And the reason is because Walmart buys from these. They basically buy from these suppliers that undercut everybody. And what you're going to have is they buy in volume, of course, but what you're going to have is these companies just undercutting all of these smaller, more family-oriented businesses, these organic businesses, and they're going to put them out of business by basically undercutting them, making their prices way lower. And then once they do that, you're going to see a huge hike in organic prices. A Dutch king tells citizens to take responsibility as the prime minister implements austerity. He wrote in on his gold car or something like that, but says here they herald the end of the welfare state on Tuesday as the fifth largest Eurozone economy presented austerity-driven budget for 2014, saying the classic welfare state is slowly but surely turning into a society of participation. So I don't really know what that means, participation. I guess he was being traveling through the streets of an ornate horse-drawn golden carriage, so the transformation would be particularly noticeable in society or social security and long-term healthcare policies. Amid slow economic recovery, of course, like I said, they got to keep people hinging on this recovery that's going to happen inevitably. More Americans identify as lower class. A small but surging share of Americans consider themselves to be lower class, a surprise to some researchers and activists despite the bruising economy. The co-founder for Rise for Social Justice says when people call themselves lower class, we'll say, you're not lower than someone else, you just have less money. But technically, in this money system run by banks, where money, basically the monetary system is religion, the money is God, they worship money by having a lot more of it. So technically they are lower on the economic social hierarchy. Gap in employment rates between rich and poor at widest levels in records dating back a decade from September 16th. The gap in employment rates between America's highest and lowest income families has stretched to its widest level since the officials began tracking the data a decade ago, according to the AP. Rates of unemployment for those earning less than $20,000 have topped 21%, nearly matching the rate for all workers during the 1930s Great Depression. At the same time, middle-income workers are increasingly pushed into lower-wage jobs. Many of them, in turn, are displacing lower-skilled, low-income workers who become unemployed or are forced to work fewer hours. So, that's why I always find kind of funny I always find it kind of funny when people say that they're going to kill us all off, send us into FEMA camps and kill us all off. Well, that day may come, but right now they like lots of people. They like the population numbers because it provides cheap labor. It's labor competing against each other, which drives down wages, and which is why they promote what they refer to as the end of women discrimination and women's rights by putting them into the workforce to be work slaves just as their male counterparts to again drive down wages and provide another source of tax income. The complete interactive financial states of America. They say here, like many Americans since the recession hit, many have been thinking about moving around. On that note, I've noticed that people just moving in over here in the Midwest are from Arkansas. I've seen some Arkansas people and Alabama people, so people from the South looking for work. Okay, so the yellow, I guess that looks like a yellow, is 60 to 70,000. Of course, that's Virginia, D.C. Those are all people that are representing you, your Congress and that, all New England rich people. 50,000 to 60,000 is the kind of the maroon. Believe it or not, Illinois, that's the corrupt Chicago mega region. Of course, L.A. and California, New York and that. Then you have the red, which is 40 to 50,000, which kind of makes up the bulk of the the Midwest, the South, Plains, even the Pacific Northwest. And then at the bottom, the orange, 30 to 40,000 again. You have West Virginia, just the armpit of America. Who is this? Oh yeah, New Jersey. Yeah, they just broke some records recently. Arkansas and Mississippi. Let's not forget about Alaska's actually up there, 60 to 70,000. But I think they actually have their numbers are different. They get paid more, but everything's more expensive. Same with Hawaii. So money is created to be spent, right? They create debt so that you can work it off, so they can charge interest. And that's how they make their money. That's the big scam, is interest. So you get rid of usury and you solve the problems. Also, becoming self-sustainable. People are spending all this money on just crap. I mean, you used to be able to build a house yourself. People are looking at it as an investment. No, you're a slave to your mortgage, to the banks, and interest. That's 33% of their how Americans spent their money in 2012. 17% transportation. That's to the monopoly car industries that are subsidized by the government, along with housing and that. But gas, So food, 13% spent on food. That's the third most. Again, people used to grow their own, but whatever, for whatever it's worth. 11% spent on insurance, right? Gambling. You're going to gamble. It's another type of usury system that could go, not even really worth it. Healthcare. Everybody must have healthcare, like education, right? Well, not really. Your health is the only thing that you really have, and you can take care of it without a lot of money. Of course, if you have to get surgeries, well, then you're asking, you get into a transhumanist type philosophy where you should be dead, but you want to extend your life. Well, then, don't bitch and complain. If you want to do that, you better be able to afford it, and you better worship that dollar and sell your soul to get as much as you can so that you can live as long as you possibly can with the aid of, quote, health care. 5% was spent by the slaves on getting brainwashed and told that their enslavement is proper and good and nothing's wrong. The averages are misleading, particularly when the rich are running away from the rest. The poor and the rich part of the income spent per 2012, bottom 20% is blue, the highest 20% is red. The poor, food, clothes, and housing account for more than 60% of all spending. The rich have more left over for leisure, insurance, and savings. But I saw this article. I thought it was kind of interesting to get the poor online, let them have cat videos by getting internet to the poor. And I saw this from September 11th. Census says Americans in poverty typically have cell phones, computers, TVs, VCRs, AC, washers, dryers, and microwaves. So my theory is as long as the masses, the peasants, whatever, I think, like I said before, peasants technically had it better than we do today. We don't understand that. Living under these living under big kingdoms, or say being ruled by an empire like Mongolia, it's like, yeah, there are some things there are some drawbacks, but you weren't actually enslaved as much as you were by corporations and by the usury system now. You were actually more enslaved now than you were under those types of old modern fuel systems. You can argue against that, but the statistics show these people revolted back then. At least they can get a little bit of freedom back. And what are people doing now? As long as they got cell phones and televisions and washer dryers and high definition brainwashing televisions, everything's good to go. You know, full bellies full of crap food, and you know, nobody revolts. Nobody detaches from the system. Interesting thought. The whole point of, you know, all these appliances, besides getting women to be useless in the house, was what? Was to create a demand for electricity. So these big subsidized power companies can make money. Again, monopolies, duopolies, make money off people. So you have to create some kind of demand for that. Oh yeah, you know, clothes washer, clothes dryer, dishwasher, refrigerator. Which I gotta say, refrigerators are pretty nice, but food freezer, stove, microwave, air condition. So air condition has 83% of these poor people. Microwaves 93, stove 93%, refrigerator 97%. The poor people, almost 70% have washers and dryers. 83% have video recorder, DVDs, 96% television, by no coincidence. 60% a computer, a telephone, 54%, cell phone, 80%. Ask yourself, why during the New Deal under Roosevelt, and even before that, why was he pushing telephones, electricity into every house, right? Why were they setting up telephone lines everywhere in the hills and the mountains back in the 1800s, in the plains? Disseminate propaganda. You know, people shouldn't care about what the hell is going on in another part of the country. It's to tell them what they need to think, what they need to do, what they need to buy. Sugar is addictive and the most dangerous drug of the time. So, you know, it's like someone made a good point. You know, people go to salt, it raises the blood pressure, and also people go to sugar as a form of, you know, sugary things. Are when you're being dominated, you see all kinds of weird things in society, like we were talking about in the last video with dungeons, sex dungeons, and just real crazy stuff. Sugar is something that would be, you know, definitely needed to quell dissent and quell any type of resistance. It's kind of a form of treating depression, lowering blood pressure, and to a certain extent, I think that's why they want to legalize marijuana. I mean, I don't have any problems with people smoking pot or anything. It's just a matter of right now, can they make more off taxes, or can they make more off it being illegal and charging people through bonds and court fees and stuff like that? But they do want it out there. So we're talking about bread and circuses, you know, Rome. It's been used before, that term. To get the poor online, let them have cat videos, like let them eat cake, right? So unlike the Henry Kissingers and the Huxleys and all them, Brzezinskis, these old kind of long windbags, the new elites are these tech leaders, right? Really, they're just fronts. They're just PR people that promote what's going on in the inner circles, in the inner core. They're reporting on it, and you know, they're kind of in a way just letting people know this is where we're going. But they say it's good to get. They're pushing for internet access to the third world. They need to lighten up a little, though. They said their efforts are so serious. So. But you know, a grave tone of social reformation. So yeah, they're philanthropists. They care about people, right? So they should sell it as actually being fun. They say. Interesting. A New York Times writer says that they believe that internet is a human right? But it says here that goofing off on the computer or chatting with friends online may not save the world. But it says here, entertainment can transform the society. There you go. That's why people ask me, so Darko, why don't you get more views? Why only get a couple hundred views? Because Miley Cyrus is getting, what, 100 million views? 1/3 of the American population has seen her. Students find guy secretly living in their basement. So basically a student apartment, and they find a guy living in there. This is the new. You hear about that a lot. You can't really go anywhere. To be outside and be homeless, you got to keep moving. If you don't, you're dead. They'll come after you. Not the residents, then the state. A homeless man returns backpack full of money, so $2,000 worth of cash. So sounds real nice and everything, but I mean, it's noble. But seriously, it's kind of like, give me a break, dude. Really? I'm not saying it's just stole the money, but it's just like they like putting these stories out there where just average people, especially poor people, do the right thing. Whereas people, you know, like the Rothschild, like this small clique that's stealing a generation's worth of wealth, are stealing, and they're stealing, and banks are stealing. All this stealing is going on, and nobody says anything because they don't understand the system. But people need to change it themselves. You can't just blame these people. They want you to see these pictures because they want you to think that they have all the power. Well, we have the power to understand the system and stop it.